Hi, everyone. Today we are going to be discussing literary conflict and fiction. And as I am instructing you in this video, you are going to use the guided notes that were assigned to you to fill them out and follow along. Okay, here we go. As we are listening to the information, I am going to cue you as to when you should stop, pause, copy down the notes that you see on your screen, and then when you're finished copying those, you can come back for the additional instruction. So, the big question to really explore is what is conflict within the context of narratives and literature? Many of you may be familiar with conflict in the context of your own lives and the difficulties or frustrations that you may be having with one another or people that you interact with. It's similar for characters in literature. We define conflict in this way. It is the problem or obstacle that the main character must confront and attempt to overcome before the end of the story. What's really important to understand is that conflict can come in many different forms, but a story where the conflict is not resolved or addressed in some way is usually considered incomplete. Before moving forward, please click pause and fill out your notes with the missing words. When you are ready, return to the video and press play. There are several important things for you to know or understand about literary conflict. The first is that it forces the character to grow or change over the course of the story. This is because conflict drives the story forward. The character has to confront the problems that come up with regard to the conflict or deal with the consequences of not addressing those problems. And that creates story elements that force the character to change and grow over time. The same way that in the Avengers trilogies and series, Tony Stark starts off being a very selfish, very self-centered person, being very devoted to the idea of the cause once he becomes an Avenger, and then his character changes in response to the difficulties and frustrations that he faces. Additionally, a story or narrative may have more than one type of conflict, and the character in longer texts especially may have to solve several small conflicts leading up to resolving the story's main conflict. Please press pause, fill out your notes, and when you are ready, move forward. It's very, very important to understand that without conflict, there is no story. Who wants to read a story or watch a movie about a person who has a perfectly normal day where nothing interesting happens? It's way more fun to watch things like Stranger Things and find that a boy has gone missing and now there's a government conspiracy and now there's a mysterious upside down, right? Those things with conflict are what create more interesting stories for us to read. It's important too, as we move forward as readers and writers, for you to understand that there are different types of conflict that appear within literature. There are some basic conflicts that we see repeatedly. These come up all the time, and we call these archetypes. Please take a moment, pause the video, copy down your notes, and when you're ready, press play to move forward. Conflict can be split into two categories: internal conflict and external conflict. Internal conflict happens inside a character's mind. It's typically based in a personal fear or worry or anxiety. And an example of this would be a fear of a public performance or anxiety over asking out a crush. Please press pause, copy any remaining information you need to into your notes, and when you're ready, press play to move forward. External conflict is the opposite of internal conflict. It is conflict that happens between one or more characters and someone or something outside of her or himself. Press pause, fill in your notes, and when you're ready, press play to move forward. There are 6 primary or main archetypes of conflict that we see repeated throughout literature. They are character versus self, character versus character, character versus nature, character versus the supernatural, character versus group or society, and character versus technology. Press pause, fill in your notes, and when you are ready, move forward. Character versus self is an internal conflict. The character must overcome a conflict that comes from her or himself. This can include a fear or anxiety, a flaw in their personality, such as being selfish, a wish or desire that they may want to achieve. Press pause, fill in your notes, and when you're ready, press play to move forward. Character versus character. This is a type of external conflict. A character is in conflict with another character in the story. For example, 2 characters might be competing for the same thing. What's important to understand is that if the story is something like The Lion King, where all the characters are animals, then Mufasa versus Simba is still character versus character, not character versus nature. So character versus character really focuses on conflict that's happening between 2 characters within the context of a narrative or text. Press pause, fill in your notes, and when you're ready, move forward. In contrast to character versus character, you have character versus nature. This is a type of external conflict where a character is in conflict with some sort of force of nature. This might be surviving an earthquake, being lost in the desert, being stranded somewhere, having to overcome the elements or battle the heat. So this is where one or more characters are really struggling against that force of nature. Press pause, fill in your notes, and when you're ready, press play to move forward. Character versus group or society. This is one that is a little bit more challenging to identify within a text. It is an external conflict where a character is in conflict with a large group or society as a whole or with a culture. This is typically represented or shown by a character who is seeking social change or who is not following the rules of what is expected of them. For example, historically, this was women protesting their right to vote. Katniss Everdeen refusing to play in Panem's Hunger Games, different things like that. So it's where you have one or more characters who are in conflict or contrast with a larger society or group as a whole. Press pause, fill in your notes, and when you're ready, press play to move forward. Character versus the supernatural. Another external conflict. This is when a character is in conflict with a supernatural force or supernatural creature. For example, Odysseus when he must fight various Greek monsters on his journey home. Harry Potter who must fight the power of Lord Voldemort. These are the types of mysterious forces that many characters face when working with the supernatural. Other examples might include zombies, witches, goblins, different things like that that are fantastical beasts that are considered a part of mythology or are just considered made up. So press pause, copy down your notes, and when you're ready, move forward. Finally, we have character versus technology. This is a type of external conflict where the character must face or overcome a problem that is caused by technology or machines. For example, John Henry when he competes against the steam drill, the movie I, Robot, Terminator, something where technology is outstripping or outpacing humanity, where different things like cybernetics and things like that. What's really important to understand about character versus technology is that it's not always very like fancy technology. For example, it could be an older technology, such as something to do with the Titanic or different flaws within a technology. So it doesn't just have to be futuristic technology, it's really any kind of technology. Press pause, make sure all of your notes are completely filled in. If you need to play the video again, go backward and go through to make sure that you have everything that you need. When you're finished, follow the next steps for today's instructions.